employed very effectively and utilize it for our context, adaptive. And of course, some amount of money. FTRI is a platform created primarily as a resource center, not only money but also ideas. My vision at that time was, among other things, I asked our people to be associated with one of the universities here like Stanford or Harvard or something else, and fund annual conferences after due research on one topic each year. Identify the best practices in the world, look at India's condition, come out with tangible, realistic solutions like we are coming out, but with the imprimatur of authority of a great university and with a lot of data and many people working in a very innovative way. Then we can force the political system and the media to look at this much more seriously. But somehow, we are all Indians, wherever we are. So our concept of success is, na photo paper la badinda leda. Pakkana star of politician na pakkana leda. Not have I furthered the process. Have I made the outcomes much more likely to happen? Adi koncham manaki our focus takkuva as a culture. We need that culture. Otherwise, nothing happens as a miracle. It's a great myth. It's a drama. Doesn't matter. If you make me Prime Minister tomorrow, nothing happens as a miracle. I told Modi before he became Prime Minister. I told him, Narendra ji, you are the next Prime Minister of India. Election is a formality. People have already decided. They want change. They see in you a ray of hope. Please do not commit the mistake of believing that just because you become the Prime Minister, things will automatically change. Nothing will change. At best, you have an opportunity others don't have to mold public opinion and to bring about institutional changes, each of them as a project, so that the process of real change starts. Because change happens from the people of India, not from the Prime Minister. Your role is to create a framework in which each person, in his own self-interest, or collective enlightened self-interest, they will act differently so that outcomes are radically different and bigger. That is the function of leadership, not become, another Babu. For that we have Babus. We transfer chesanu and posting chesanu and content chesanu. The guy, Prime Minister and Chief Minister. Your role is to build institutional framework to alter the incentives, therefore to affect the outcomes. Get the desirable outcome. That is true leadership. Lincoln was great because he understood that. He was not a brilliant man. He was not a very articulate man. He was a very slow, methodical, laborious person. But he was far-sighted. He built those mechanisms. That's why Lincoln's death was a great tragedy, because had he lived, the integration between the South and the North would have happened within 5-10 years. It took another 70, 80 years for that integration. One man's absence made so much a difference to this country. That's why he was great. Not because Lincoln had a long beard or even the Civil War. That's all minor. What did Lincoln do to win the Civil War? Anyway, North was greater and more powerful, more resourceful, more populous. It was a matter of time. It doesn't matter who is there. Any president, they would have won the war. Much bigger than the short-term events. We have to have a sense of history, how history is shaped. It's not a big ask. I'm not asking each of you to do all these things. This is just to give a perspective. Damn it, already we lost an opportunity. I embarked on this journey 38 years, 46 years ago, 44 years ago, 1974 to be more precise. 73, 74 now. That's when what's happening in this country, Watergate, and what's happening in India, anti-corruption movement, this, that, and the contrast between the two, and the vibrancy of one system which enforces accountability, and the bankruptcy of another system where almost anything, the permissive culture, anything goes. That's what drove many of us. We may have worked in different directions, but most of us who were influenced in the 70s in India, it was this. And then for 22 years, I left everything else and made it my central mission. What's happened is, the last 20, 30 years were a fantastic opportunity for India. The world wanted us to succeed for their own sake. We blew it, largely. Contrary to our own self-image, we largely blew it. But it doesn't matter. It's never too late. If we blow it now also, if another generation goes to waste, India will be an also-ran country. It will not disappear. It will be forever talking about its past glories and some accomplishments here and there, but it will not be a truly great country which is capable of. And more important than greatness of the country, the hundreds of millions of Indians, many of them are our own brothers, sisters, friends, whom we see in our own village, etc., they will continue to languish the way they are today. They deserve more in 21st century. I ask of you to really create the framework. You don't ask me for every step of the way. Don't ask me to tell you every day what you should do. That's not the way a nation changes. I want more than anything else your mind and your heart. Without compromising your personal goals or your career or profession. I think it's not too much to ask. Nothing less is adequate. A nation cannot change without that much of commitment, at least from a few thoughtful citizens. We can go into a lot of technical details, but that's, you can just look up. In this day and age, the flick of a button, you're all technocrats. I don't even know how to use it. Only now I've discovered how to use Google and other things. You are all adept at that. That's no big deal. And you can also verify, cross-check whether it makes sense or not. Just because some idiot says something, you don't have to believe it. You can cross-check. You can do research yourselves. Research your fingertips.